Empatia City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
And I think it'll be the first of a few talks. He's a fascinating guy with a fascinating background, and he's had really interesting, and he also is ex-military, and he's actually, I hope he's going to say something about his battles with health. Are you? No. Anyway, we agreed on this topic, a very good New Year's topic about how it may be too late for a new beginning, but it's never too late to form a new ending. And I think that's a really nice philosophy to take into a year or just with your life. So over to Art.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Whoa, 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 whoa. If I get started and I say good morning, I want to hear a lot of noise. It gets me fired up. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Oh, that's so much better. Thank you so much. My name is Art Wedmore. If you can see by the title of what we're talking about is Maria Robinson, who I looked and do not know who she is. I couldn't find her. There's 1,000 of them. She said, nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and create a new ending. Think about that. Amen, right? So all of us here probably started a new ending by coming here to retire. Would you all agree? Okay, so since you've been here, how many people have done a New Year's resolution every year? Oh, what the hell happened there? Have you done any in the last few years? Oh, you got one back here. Someone did one. Oh, there you go. So it's important that we understand the value of what 2023 could bring to us being here right now. Anybody have a good 2020? If you had a good 2022, clap your hands. Everybody clap your hands. If you had a bad one, stand up. No, I'm just kidding. So Maria Robinson said this. Now, a little bit about me as an introduction. I don't like intros too well, so I'll just have you kind of read what's up here. I like the first line up here. It says, Indiana farm kid. That's pretty much me. I used to shake my hand for everything I ever needed. I am a Vietnam veteran. I've been an instructor. I've taught a lot of different things. I've been a keynote speaker. I've traveled around with training companies, motivating salespeople. And the reason that I'm here is because one of the people I trained 20 years or so in Hawaii moved here and talked me into moving Pattaya. That's Derek Shahir right here. Derek, stand up. This is the reason I'm in Pattaya. Give Derek a round of applause. He got me here, and I love it. But what is important is down here where it says I have two kids. I have a son, Michael. Michael's 53. My daughter's 51. I have two grandkids. I am a life on the plus side guy. I don't like negativity, so I spend most of my life focusing on how to have a plus life. Always have, always will. It's my choice. I walk between 55 and 70 miles every week to maintain my health, rain or shine. If it's pouring down rain, you will see me walking with an umbrella. The worst thing that happens is I get wet. And I had just had my birthday last week, 73 years old. So December 21st birthday, thank you. So I'm among, how many people are over 70 here? How many people are over 60 here? How many people are over 80? Okay, so we got a group. We're old, aren't we? We got a group of people. Well, let's see what I'm going to talk about. If you take a look at what's up here, it's pretty simple. I have a motto that I use for my company since 1984. And what it says is everything that you say and do today will determine what all of your tomorrows look like and become. I feel like I should be accountable for every action and every word. I can't blame anybody else. Thank you for clapping. I can't blame anybody else for anything. I'm responsible for action and words. Whether they're good or bad or insignificant, I'm still responsible. I would teach that to all my employees, all my trainers that work for me, that everything that they did, they had to hold themselves accountable for. So knowing that I'm responsible for what I say, I have an important job with you guys today because we're going to talk about a New Year's resolution for 2023, and you all didn't raise any hands. It's something you've been doing for a while. So we'll do a little bit of background on why it might be important. So here's the lesson plan itself. First of all, I'm going to set the stage. In order to talk about anything, you have to set the stage. So I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine named Ben Franklin. He's a little old, but he has some wise sayings. I'm going to use a couple things that he said. I'm going to talk about free money. I'm talking about value of time. And then we'll talk about the Farang cycle of life. I'm going to give you a chance to hold a mirror in front of your face for a brief period of time. In order to set up a resolution for next year, you have to know where in this cycle of life, as a foreigner, where you sit, because there's 9 phases to it, so we'll go through that. Once I did, we'll get to the meat, and the meat is about resolutions and goals, how to set those items, what to do, what to do, what to do. What can you do to make 2023 better for at least one Thai person, if not for yourself, if not for a group of people. So, keeping that in mind, let's take a look at Ben Franklin. What Ben Franklin said is nothing is good or bad unless compared to something else. Now, Ben Franklin did a whole lot of things. He had so many inventions, but he never patented any one of them because Ben thought whatever came from his mind, whatever came from his heart, whatever came from his voice, and whatever came from his actions should be free to the people. And but I'll tell you, he had over 1,000 inventions of stuff that we still use today. Electricity, the lightning rod, glasses. He was brilliant, in addition to be a great politician and a good man. So keeping that philosophy in mind, nothing is good or bad unless compared to something else, I will talk about an example of how that works. I'm going to ask you all to do me a favor. I'd like for everyone that can stand up for me just for a second. Okay, now I'm going to step off the stage for a second, if you don't mind. For those you see me back over there? See me back over there? Okay, I just want to look at my size, my height, that's all. Hey, what do you mean, Okay, everybody have a seat. Now what I want you to do is imagine, if you don't have a pen and paper, and most people don't, I want you to imagine that you have a pen in your hand and your paper is sitting on the table. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to write down your answer, and you can only pick one of 2. Are you guys ready? Okay, here's the question. Is art tall or short? Write your answer down. You saw me. You saw me. Is art tall or short? How many people put tall? What? Wait, whoa. What do you mean no one put tall? How many people put short? How many people put ugly? Oh, shorter. Yeah, you see, well, short and ugly. Oh, you guys are a rough crowd. All right, well, let me ask you this question then. I think I'm tall. I'm 5'7", the average height of a man in the world. So I could get in a debate, in an argument, a confrontation with you and argue till my heart expires. Argue that I'm a tall man. And you could always say, no, you're short. And we would have confrontations. Ben Franklin said that's not healthy. So here's what I want you to do is I want you to erase the answer that you just did, and I will ask the question slightly different. You ready? See this bottle of water? Here's the question now. Is art tall or short compared to that bottle of water? Perspective and how you ask questions is everything. So one of the philosophies that I'll work with you today is the Ben Franklin theory that nothing is good or bad unless it's compared to something else. So what that means is, as I walk through this, my promise to you is not to waste your time, because time is really valuable. So what I'm going to do is I'll be throwing out a lot of ideas. I'll put a lot of mind changes in maybe, a lot of discoverable facts that you can use. I will only make suggestions that could be done. I will never tell you what to do. I will always let you and Ben Franklin, with his saying, you decide what's good for you, if anything at all. You may, at the end of this, say, oh, thanks, Art, that was really good, but I'm not going to do a resolution. I am not going to change anything. I don't care. I'm just going to move through my life. And you know what? That's okay. Sure. You want me to slow down a little bit for you? Sure. Is that better for everybody if I slow down my talking? Okay. I get excited. You guys understand that, right? Not excited because I like to talk fast. Excited because I like to talk. I don't know if that's good or bad. So those are what my promise is. I will not waste your time. So to get started, I want you to think about giving. Think about giving. Research has shown that the simple act of doing something nice, serotonin, which is a good part of the brain, is exuded and people feel good. people who do nice things feel good. The people who receive the kindness feel good. And most importantly, if it's observed by somebody else, they feel good in seeing the kindness. So when I talk about a resolution at the end, I'm talking about a resolution of kindness. Something that we can give for free to anyone that could benefit each other and them. Kindness. So to talk about kindness, let's take a look at free money. I'm going to give you guys some money today. Anybody interested in money? $86,400 each one of you. Come on, yell. That's pretty good. I'm going to put that direct deposit into your account starting tonight at midnight. You have that money to spend every night at midnight. At 1 second after midnight, I will put it into your deposit account. But there's some rules that go along with this, and this is very important because $86,000 is about 3 million baht. That's a lot of money, right? So you're going to have to follow the rules real carefully. The rules are pretty simple. It must be spent before midnight tonight. So if I give it to you tonight, by tomorrow night, it's got to be gone. Whatever is not spent, it's thrown away. You can't invest it and do the next day or the next day. You have to spend it. You have to spend it on something. You can give it away, you can buy a house, a car, you can do whatever you want, but you have to spend it because it expires again at midnight. I will continue to do this, but at any point, for any reason not known to you, that bank account can be closed. Could be tomorrow, could be next day, you have no idea. So consequently, it's important that we think about what we would do with that money. That money represents 3 million baht. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to think just for a second, if you got 3 million baht every day into your account, think of some of the things you would spend it on. I'm going to ask you to think for about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to say go, and when I say go, I want you to all yell out as loud as you can a couple of items that you will spend that money on. I want you to get excited about it. This is good stuff. Does anybody want the money, by the way? Does anybody want the money? Yes, too much. Got to pay. No taxes, by the way, tax-free. Now it feels better, right? All right, so everybody think about what you might spend the money on. I'm going to go to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yell out what you're going to spend it on. Come on, yell. Come on, louder. Come on, more car. Come on, condo. Keep going. That's all. I mean, you can spend it on anything you want, right? But now I'm going to take you to reality. There's exactly 86,400 seconds a day in your life. Every day at midnight, it starts all over again. Another day, another 86,400 seconds. So at our age, I would say we're probably on the older end of the spectrum rather than the beginning stages of time for us. Which one is more important if we apply Ben Franklin's rule? Time or money? As you can see up here, the problem is the biggest mistake that we make is that we think that we have time. So when we talk about moving forward to 2023 and ending 2022, our clock on our life is continuing to move forward. And what we do with that time becomes more valuable because there's less of it. If there's less gold, the value of gold up. Less diamond, the value of diamonds goes up. Less time, the value of time goes up. Goes down. So everybody says we've got plenty of time. Well, unfortunately, that may or may not be true for some people, but I'm one who concentrates on time all the time. He mentioned earlier I've got medical issues. I've been a cancer patient 4th time. Every time it tries to knock me out, I keep surviving. I don't know why, but I constantly think about what am I going to do with my time to make it valuable for other people. I've had my life. I'm over 70. What am I going to do with my time that I can give back? That's what's important, and that's why we're talking about resolutions for this year. Oops, didn't work. Whoop. So let me do a favor just to show you how valuable it is, if you don't mind. Thank you. You all just gave me 5 seconds of your life and you got nothing in return. All the money in this room, all the money in the world cannot buy those 5 seconds back. So the value of time is important when we talk about getting to a resolution as well. So Ben Franklin says nothing is good or bad unless it's compared to something else. And then we find out the value of time is much more important now than it's ever been. So those two items help us move forward to getting to the meat of what we want to talk about. But to get there, we have to remember there's other things about time that's been said as well. Ben Franklin also said, do not squander time, as that is the stuff that life is made of. Do not squander time, as that is the stuff that life is made of. And you may delay, but time will not. And lost time is forever lost. So we're here for a reason. You all gathered as a group. You all are involved in activities. But now I want you to value your time toward others, especially in a foreign country where we're guests. What could we do that could make people smile, to bring kindness to them? Average male lifespan right now is about 70 worldwide, according to Wikipedia. Average female is about 76, and they die healthier than we do. So for anybody, how many people are over 70? We're in that bonus period. You understand that, right? If the average guy in the world's kicking it around 70, we're already on that other side. Our time is really valuable, and we should give as much of it as we can to something good. We don't have to. We can waste it. We can sit around and do nothing, and that's okay too. But I'm selling you on the concept that good time is time that you can give to anything that would make people smile. So, I refuse to let the little boy in me go away. That's the only reason I'm around. This little boy is on my tattoo. I don't know if you can see it or not. That picture there was taken, I was with the surfboard. It was 1956. I was almost 7 years old, 6.5 years old. And I tattooed him on there to remind me that this little boy still lives in here. This is what drives me. This is what gives my passion. I refuse to be an old man. I walk, I exercise, I eat well, I do things to keep myself young, mentally, physically, and emotionally. That's the value of time. That's given me some time, I know, over my life. People say, why do you keep surviving? I said, because I have the attitude to survive. The attitude to survive. So knowing that you can have that little boy in you and you refuse to let him go, let's talk about us today, because we're no longer just any place in the world. We're all here in Patia. We're all expats. We're all from different countries. We all came here for different reasons. You can stay here for a while and it can be smooth, but sometimes it gets tough. I've been in the queue. I've been waiting for things. I get agitated. I go online. I hear all the complaints that people have. A lot of expats complain about everything. Oftentimes, the Farang leaves for short periods of time, 90 days and stuff, but they impact this town while they're here. And the people that come on 30-day holidays really impacted because they get drunk and chase the girls and do things and get in fights. And then, of course, that puts a label on us, on a lot of foreigners in this place. So, if we talk about tomorrow, we have to take a look at the Farang cycle of life. This was pretty interesting. I looked this up. I found it to be enjoyable just to talk about. If you don't mind, I'm going to move around. So, the Farang cycle of life was designed, as it says right here, into 9 phases, and it can last from 2 months. That's where you just get here one time and you leave. And it can last for 10 years or a lifetime. It can last for a long time. Not only does it last that long, but some complete the cycle and the others get stuck. Phase 2, phase 3, 4, 5, you can get stuck anywhere. It doesn't make any difference. We may stay here for long term, 10 years or decades, but we might never truly be happy. Can you imagine that? Not truly be happy. We grow bitter with time because things just don't change. We want it to. We came from countries where things changed quicker. But here that seems to be at a whole different pace. Well, I'm not going to go through all the phases, but I'm going to highlight the first 6 because those are the ones where most people are. 7, 8, or 9 is where it's a gift. If you get that far, you're doing pretty good. So let's take a look at Farang Cycle of Life Phase 1. Before I do, if you follow the herd, your life is just going to be full of stepping in poop all the time. And so think about that. If you just follow the herd, you don't follow anything else, that's where it's going to be. So, phase 1. Can you see that slide pretty good? You can? Hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, phase 1, delight. Now, I'm not going to read all that's on there. I put that up there for you just to browse through on your own as you're looking at it. I call this the Disneyland phase. This is that 30-day cycle. People come every year, 30, 40, 60 days. They party, booze, girls, money, fun. You all still doing that? Pretty good cycle to get into, right? That's the introduction to Patia for a lot of people. It's a great piece of life. The good thing about it is when people are in that cycle, they spend a lot of money. That's good for the economy. The bad thing about it is they oftentimes abuse everything that's around them. because they don't know the rules, right? Have anybody seen that before? Expats get drunk, get in fights, cause trouble, traffic accidents, they ride a scooter, they shouldn't be driving it. There's lots of things that can happen in phase one. Some people, listen to this now, some people in phase one get stuck in it forever. They come every 30 days or 60 days every year, and this is just where they live in this cycle. Some people retire in this cycle, and that's all they do. How do I know that? I know personally because I go by bars that full of the same people at the same seats every day for the last year I've been here. So I know where a lot of people spend a lot of their time. Good for the economy, not necessarily good for their health or their growth pattern, but if that's how they choose to live, that's okay with me. So that's phase one. Phase two is a comfort zone. This is where you've been here a little bit longer. This is where you kind of adapted in, maybe you extend, you go to 90 days. This is where it starts to feel a little better. You're starting to understand a few things that are going on. Still young girls, you can have half your age if you want. There's lots of them. There's cheap drinks. Smiles galore for handsome man. I thought the first time a girl said handsome man to me that she was talking to me, but she was talking to a big heavyset fat guy with bald hair with a lot of money walking behind me. You know, I took it for the wrong way, that's for sure. So we think Thailand can be a dreamland. This is where we say, well, this is pretty nice. This is comfortable here. I kind of like it. But this zone can end abruptly for people. Some jump off a building, as you probably heard, because they run out of money. They keep spending, and they don't realize those life savings disappear. So then they go home, and they're not happy. They're kind of a little depressed. They feel deprived of their dream. People get stuck in this phase. They're called the indulgers. They're around every day at the bars, drinking, doing things. That's their way of life. It's okay. That's their choice, not mine. But they never learn much about Thailand. They never really fit in. They cover only their basic needs and wants. Sometimes they have a girl, and they stay a little bit longer. They stay for a year, or they get a visa. And then maybe at the end of that visa, they decide it's not exactly what they want. Now, phase three, surprise and wonder. Now, this is a phase that's kind of nice. During this phase, if you're dwelling in the comfort zone, you begin to discover deeper layers of Thai. This is where we start to take trips, understand the language, maybe pick up a couple of more sayings, maybe get a handbook to look at Buddhism and what that's all about. But as we stay here a little longer, we start finding cracks in our comfort zone. We felt pretty good. Things were going well. But you get into things aren't answered or done. You have locals have a different pace of doing things, saving face. What does that mean? And people are if you're dating, they're never on time. Sometimes they bring somebody with them. There's lots of excuses. Immigration's a mess. Driver's license a fiasco. You guys have never experienced any of this, have you? Move your heads up and down like we just hit a railroad track in a 57 Chevy if you have. Move your heads up. There you go. A lot of moving. So a lot of people leave this phase and they leave the country. This is where it just gets uncomfortable. They've been here for a year or two. They go, now it's not for me. Nothing seems to change. Others get stuck. But those that get stuck believe they're the Thai expert. Now they think that they know everything about Thailand. They know all the good, bad. They do the posts. They're on the blogs. They're the ones telling you how bad it sucks, how bad this is. You guys seen those? You ever heard of those expats that are not very happy? Yeah, they're everywhere. So these guys become what I call the Thai expert. They're the ones that will tell you the good and bad, but mostly the bad, and sometimes the good that they say isn't really the good, it's just their impression of it. Some leave at this phase, but others move on and they go, okay, I've been through this phase, I'm not a Thai expert, I want to learn more, and they go to phase 4, which is called the irritation and surprise. Now, you get irritated a lot of things, but you're not as mad as you used to be. You start to accept it, but you're starting to not be the same. Thai visa's a mess, 90-day reporting, you have to take a trip every 90 days, get a stamp, waiting queues at immigration or driver's license, lack of organization and technology, dates expect you to always pay, sometimes they bring a friend. Feels like staff in stores don't know too much about what they're doing or they don't help in some areas. This list can grow longer. Hassles for medical insurance, didn't qualify for insurance, banking requirements. You get a healthy level of irritation, but that can grow to your next level, which we call the anger phase. So these people are called the irritants. They stay, they like it here, but it's not working too well for them all the time. And they complain to their neighbors and friends and other people, and they hang with expats that think alike. It's interesting how I can go into a group at a bar and I'll sit down right next to them and I'll hear what they're talking about, and usually it's not with a plus sign in front of it. It's usually something negative that happened to somebody. If you move to the anger phase, this is a phase where most foreigners live in this country. They go on to Thai chat as expats or Facebook and other stews expats, and you'll find lots of grumpy old Farang complaining what's wrong with this country. Right or wrong opinions, mostly negative. are shared in this group. They have prejudice about Thailand, Thai people, lazy, uneducated, no effort, don't give a what, money, don't want to work, stupid, don't have to learn, this list gets much longer, and they feel the same about us. We don't understand their culture, we're not adapting to them, we're not learning their language, we're not getting used to how they do things. So we think things are better at home. Solutions for Thai problems you think are pretty easy. You could change them if you wanted to. Why don't they change? Government propaganda. You want to change everything. You are at war with your opinions and anger. A lot of foreigners leave the country for a more pleasant country at this time, or they go home. But this is a phase that most foreigners in Thailand live. People like to bitch. There's still cheap living. There's good food. There's girls. You got friends, maybe a partner. It's a good thing just to keep being the complainer, and that's the largest group of the expats in Thailand. As you get to this group, if you stay, you begin to mature a little bit. Acceptance becomes a little bit more real. Then you become that complaining is useless. Thai people will not change, and the culture in Thailand is here to stay. That's the Thai way. We need to adapt. Learn the language, learn the skills, learn their background, learn who they are. Some irritation still exists, but accepting is calmer overall. It's really not that bad. You come to peace in your heart, you begin to like it here. You're most likely not going to leave Thailand. You're going to stay here for a much longer period of time. Because acceptance is pretty good. You feel pretty confident. You are known as the acceptor. Now, phase 7, 8, and 9 are the ones that a lot of people get to, but not everybody. Phase 7 is lack and loneliness. This is where you just become homesick. You're here for 4, 5, 6 years. You want to go home. Maybe you miss your grandchildren. Maybe there's something going on at home. There's reason for you to be homesick. You're associating with people what we call economic refugees. You'll find that people don't have to have a lot of money to live here, so you're socially a little bit different, and you go every place you go, it's packed full of people that are just drinking and filling. You just want to go to a comfortable bar, but it's packed full of tourists. So you're starting to feel like the economic refugee is abandoning or taking over the city, so you look for reasons to maybe exit, or you just accept the fact that's how it is. Choice 8 becomes you have learned that to live the Thai way, but you're still at a crucial phase. Now this is where health could enter the picture. If you're over 70 like I got here, health insurance is almost impossible to get, right? So I have to pay as I go. At some point, that can get to a lot of money. Would y'all agree? So then you have to make a decision. Do I go home and get free VA care at the medical center in Loma Linda, California, which is where I'm from? Or do I stay here and pay for medical care? I have to make a choice. But if you go home and you do medical care, you may go home for a longer period of time. So this is a place where choices become a little bit more difficult, but if you made it this far, you're doing pretty good. Would you all agree? Now, the last phase is phase 9. Whoops. Phase 9, opportunities. Phase 9 is pretty nice. This is where everything's just peaceful. You've accepted everything. You're learning the language. You're getting some skill sets. You got a partner maybe. You're happy with Thailand. This is the dream inn. This is the dreamland. And my personal goal is to get to phase 9. But in order to get there, we have to experience and go through each one of these phases. And in the year that I've been here, I've seen a lot. I see a few people that have done quite well, been here 16, 17 years, that are in this phase. That's my dream. But in the meantime, I have to be around a lot of people who are struggling in phase 4, 5, or 6. So I want you to think about these 9 phases just for a second, and I want you to take a photograph in your mind of the phase that you think you're in, because knowing where you are in this process helps define what type of resolution you can do for 2023. If you're not in 9, 8, 7, or 6, if you're in that 4 or 5 with a grumpy and all that stuff, perhaps your resolution would be more defined than it would be if you're already happy and content and you're doing a lot of things to make people feel better. That's totally up to you. So, Ben Franklin said, again, nothing is good or bad unless compared to something else. So phase 4 plus is the complainer. Grumpy. You know those people? Any in this room? Don't put your hands up so fast. Okay, phase 4 is where most Flangs live here in the country, so this is the phase that I think we have the most improvement in. Positive attitude, positive adjustment. Nothing's good or bad unless compared to something else. I like to be on the right-hand side of this chart. I like to believe that I can be positive, I can be comfortable, I can have a good attitude, I can give, I can have belief, I can learn more, I can teach more, I can be more. But guess what? Those choices are yours, not mine. People are comfortable in phase 4. That's why. In phase 4 and 5, because that's why there's so many living there. I'd like to encourage, if you're in there, to move out for 2023, to move on to a different phase of acceptance in the Thai phases of life. I did use the word change. In order to get there, you might have to change something. Change is a very difficult world for people, especially when we're seasoned. You know, a little older, right? We don't like change. We resisted it when we were younger. We realized it when we were old. So I'm just going to give you a little exercise on how change is, because it's really not painful to change anything. So I want everyone to imagine I'm giving you a gold pen. So everybody hold it up with your writing hand, a gold pen. It weighs about 5 pounds, so you got to hold it up there high, okay? Everybody hold it up high. I want you to take that gold pen. I want you to go down to your table, and very small, like you normally would, I want you to sign your name and put your pen back up. Just sign it and put your name, pen back up. So sign your name, pen back up. Everybody's done? Some of you guys have long names. All right, now I want you to take that gold pen that I gave you and put it into your other hand. Now I want you to do the same thing. I want you to take that pen. When I say go, I want you to go down. I want you to write your name exactly the same way, exactly the same time period. Go. And raise your, yeah, well, it's taking you guys a little longer. What's up? You know the letters, you know the flow, you know the alphabet, you know your name. That little discomfort that you just had in using your left hand is called change. Change is a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt. Theoretically, I could go and break all of your right arms, all your writing hands, and within 3 weeks, you would be signing your name with your other hand with no problem, because that's called forced change. Changing voluntary takes 28 days to get rid of the old habit and 30 days to get the new one. So you're in constant conflict when change takes place. So understanding the principle of change is important, because you may have to change a few things in order to get a good resolution working for yourself. Tony Robbins said it best. What did he say? By changing nothing, nothing changes. So we can't move forward without doing something a little different than where we are today. All agreed so far? How are we doing? Everybody good? Everybody good? Great. All right, so let's talk about the meat, resolutions. Now this is really important. Maria Robbins again said nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and create a new ending. Resolutions and goals. Let me give you the definitions real quick. Definition of a resolution is a firm decision to do or not do something. It's a firm decision. It's not a maybe. It's not, no, it's firm. You commit to it, you're supposed to do it. A goal is a person's ambition or aim or desired result. The two examples I used are pretty simple. A resolution would be, I will quit smoking in 3 months. That's a resolution, that's firm. And a goal is, my goal is good, I'm going to quit in 3 months. So most people, when they do resolutions, do them like a goal. They put them out there and say, I think I'll lose 5 pounds this year, and then you never do it, and it's no big deal. So that's the definition between the two. So it's important to realize how powerful a resolution really is, because when we talk about doing a New Year's resolution for 2023, I want you to understand your commitment that you're thinking about making. It's more powerful than a goal, because it's permanent. You're going to do something. You're actually going to accomplish something. Mentally and physically, you have decided this has to be done in a period of your choice. You select, you design, you pick, you execute. Now, here's some facts. These are interesting facts. Most New Year's resolutions are for fitness or for health, 93%. Of those that are done, yet 70% are lost in the first 30 days. Never get done. People just quit doing the habit of what they were trying to create because they didn't create the habit. Only 9% ever get to the end. 70% are gone in 30 days, 9% after 3 months. So out of every 100 resolutions, probably 100 people in here, only 9 of you might achieve it. Only 9. But that's better than none, right? Ben Franklin said nothing is good or bad unless compared to something else. This means that of all the people who make resolutions in the world, and there's millions and millions and millions done every day, 91% of them will fail. Why do you think they fail? Do what? Including the goals, it's only 2 or 3%, maybe 1, you're right. So here's the reason they fail. They're unrealistic and they're unachievable. I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 30 days. Yeah, good luck with that. But people tell themselves a lie that they could possibly do that and set that as a goal. It's unachievable. It's not enough time. Try to do it too fast, it doesn't work. Lack of accountability. If you're going to do something and hold yourself to it, you have to account yourself. I'm a walker. I wear a Fitbit. I can't get cheated. It takes every step I take. I can tell my friends I walked 30 miles today, but if I look at my Fitbit and it says I worked 7, who's lying? The Fitbit or me? So accountability is important. Can I track it? I can track my whole day. We were looking at RINs earlier. We can track our whole day. Or no, I'm sorry, we're looking back here. We're looking at our walk, and we can track everything all day. We're accountable for those actions if you want to be. You can track them. You got to plan it. I have to plan my walk. I go every morning at 6 a.m., rain or shine. No excuses. Every day. I thought, you can clap, but that's a commitment. That's a commitment I made. My girlfriend says, "You're really going to go for a walk?" We were out late last night, and I said, "I'll see you later." And I go. I have a track. I have no self-doubt. I can accomplish what I've been doing, but self-doubt is another big problem. And then lack of motivation, not understanding why you're doing it. So how do you fix that? It's really simple. Go back to Ben Franklin. You just have to make your resolutions realistic. You got to make them achievable. You got to hold yourself accountable for them, everything you say and do. You have to track your progress. You have to plan in short steps or plan together. You have to tell yourself daily that you can do it. And you have to remember why you decided to do this feat. And if you do those items, a resolution can not only be formed, it can be successful. But you miss any one of those, and it's not. It crumbles at some point in the first 3 months. So, I have a simple one for you. 5 miles a day. There's a guy named Zig Ziglar. Anybody ever heard of Zig Ziglar before? Pretty good motivational guy. Died in 2012. Actually had Thanksgiving in 1991 at his house. I met him at a speech conference once. And he lives in Oklahoma, so I went out to his ranch and had a chance to talk with him. His son is now a speaker, by the way. Great speaker. Really good. He did the basics. Well, he had a problem with his health. At age 61, his doctor said, walk and get to 5 miles a day or be dead in 5 years. Big, overweight, stressed for the job, lots of speaking, lots of traveling, lots of things. Do you know what he did? He's a planner. He said, okay, I can do that. I can do 5 miles a day. I'm going to use what's called the mailbox theory. He failed his first attempt, though, for one reason. He did create the time to do it. He got himself a new pair of Nikes, the best shoes he could have. He put out a map location from his front door down to his driveway. He lived in the country. He went out down a road and back so he could cover the entire 5 miles over a period of time. He knew he was going to do the same track every day, so he knew how to track himself. Never had an excuse not to go. He did not leap ahead. He did it by planning. So here's what he did. He gets up the first day, puts on his Nikes, put on those new shorts, that new shirt. You know what it's like, right? I'm exercising, I'm ready to go. He gets out on his porch, he looks down. There's his mailbox about a quarter mile down the road. Then he's going to turn left. He's going to go down the road. So he gets up there and he breathes in. He stretches. He looks, and off he goes. He gets to that mailbox and he's going, and he turned around and walked back. He said, I got to plan this a little better. Next morning he gets up. He's a little sore. Didn't anticipate that. But he got those new Nikes on, got those new shorts on. He got out there. Now he stretched a little more. He looks down there. There's the mailbox. He's got to go down and go all the way down there. Off he goes. Run, 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 run. He almost makes it to the mailbox. And turns around and walks back. Next day he gets up. He's sore. Walks. Doesn't get very far. Fourth day he gets up. Can't even get up. Fifth day he says, the hell with it. I'm not going to do it. Sees his doctor again next month. Doctor tells him the same thing. 5 miles a day or die in 5 years. So then he decides to do it differently. He breaks it down. The first day, he goes to the mailbox, stops, and walks back. Quarter mile done. He does that for a few weeks. Exercise, builds it. He's good, stamina. Now he goes to the mailbox and a little bit further. And then the next day, after 2 weeks, he's got a month in, he's down to the first half mile. And as time goes on, he goes further and further. He builds his plan, puts it into effect, and he began to run 5 miles a day and died at the age of 86 instead of 65, 66. So sometimes a resolution can save a life. Sometimes the demand for doing it is more powerful than the reason for not. So Zig Ziglar was pretty important, impressive. He told me a lot of things. I'll share one more stories here in just a minute. So was he successful? Yeah, because he did it right. He made it realistic. He made it achievable. He held himself accountable for it. He put it onto a plan. He tracked it out. He tracked himself, and he made the resolution work. So when I talk about setting up a resolution for 2023, you may have to put a little thought into it. It's not a matter of just going out and say, hey, I'm ready to go. It's a matter of thinking, what could I do in 2023 that I could plan out that would be beneficial for other people and myself at the same time? So success is measurable. I've just showed you a little basics. That's all I've done so far. Just something on how to structure one. Only 3% of people who set goals ever achieve their goals, and yet those 3% that achieve their goals own 90% of the world, 97% of the world wealth. So goal setting, like resolutions, is a powerful solution if you do it right. But 97% of the people and 91% of the people who try to put measurement in front of them don't do it very well. But you can if you do this. You've got to set your goals. You have to write them down. You've got to look at them daily. You've got to adjust as necessary, just like Zig Ziglar did. He went back and had to refigure it out. And more importantly, you got to focus on the goals all the time. It's got to be something you want to achieve. 6 a.m. comes around early some mornings for me, but I still do my walk. I have no excuses. So, winning strategy, pretty simple. Winning strategy is realistic, achievable, write it down, have no excuses, adjust as necessary, focus, and commit. So now I've given you the background of Ben Franklin. Nothing's good or bad unless compared to something else. Maria Robinson, you can start a new day anytime you want. I've given you my philosophy, be accountable for everything you say and do each day. We've given you the philosophy of a winner about how to structure something for 5 miles and a game plan on what the difference are between the two. So let me give you one more point on Zig Ziglar, because we're almost ready to wrap this up. Like I said, Zig was born on a farm in Oklahoma. So as a young boy at age 12, all the boys out on the farm were farm labor all of a sudden. At age 12, they were legal in the state of Oklahoma to work. So his uncle took him out to the farm, and he says, you got to help bale hay. Anybody know anything about baling hay? Pretty heavy, huh? He put that hook on his arm. He got behind the tractor. He's watching the guys in front of him, and he's going like this. And he's just sticking it into the bale. The bale's not going anyplace. He doesn't have the rhythm, doesn't know how to move it, doesn't know how to get it on the truck. He doesn't know anything. But he is working hard. He notices every once in a while some of the workers run over to the corner where there's a well, and they get some water. They pour it on their head. They cool off, and they drink some. Put the bucket back on the ground, go back to work. So he finally says, Uncle, can I go get some water? And the uncle says, sure. So little Ziggy goes running across the field, goes in the corner, he grabs a hold of that handle on the well, and as he grabs a hold of it, he starts pumping like this, and it's just pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping. There's nothing there. He yells at his uncle, Uncle, they drank all the water. The well is empty. The uncle said, no, it's not. And he came over in his tractor and pulled over. He said, what's the problem? He said, look. And he proved again, look, it goes up and down. He said, listen, there's a bucket full of water there for a reason. There's a pipe that goes down into the well. Pour the bucket into the pipe. Move the handle a few times, and you will prime the pump, and water will come out. Zig says, you have to be kidding me. He said, no, try it. So he pours the water in. He grabs a hold of that handle. He goes, look, Uncle, it's not, and water poured out. And his uncle said, in order to do anything, you have to always prime the pump. But he actually said something much greater than that. What he said was, if you want to in order to get something out of life, you have to put something in it. In order to get something out of life, you have to put something in it. So think about that power as a human being, that all you have to do is invest of yourself a little bit, and you make life better for all. Invest in yourself a little bit, and you make life better for all. So let's get real. I now mentioned a simple resolution, show you how to do it. Talked about, but you have to walk a few steps or to do something personally for your health doesn't benefit anybody in Thailand, does it? So what I want us to think about as a guest in Thailand, what could we do as an individual to make Thailand better in 2023? And us at the same time as individuals. Well, that's why I asked you to take a look at the Farang cycle of life, because you know where you are in that cycle. So you know what you may be able to do as a resolution in order to infect positively someone or something here in Thailand. If we all did that, that's 100 and some probably responses that would help Thailand feel better. Because there's a lot of things that go on in how Thai thinks of us, and there's a lot of things that we think about Thais. So I want us to think outside the box. Here's the beauty of age. We all have experience. We all have skills. We all have knowledge that no one here has. We all have talents, ability, memories, stories, adventures that these people have never seen. And imagine if you could put a resolution together that would personally take one of your experiences and be able to share it and make someone else feel good in their life. Imagine that feeling of letting someone grow because you helped them. That's what I'm talking about for a resolution in 2023. I'm not talking about going out and losing weight. I'm going to be running next year whether I put a resolution together or not. But I am talking about doing things that will help people. Think outside the box. What would you do? Think about your own background. And here's the beauty of all of this. You don't have to do anything. You can give me a round of applause at the end, say, great talk, go home and do nothing. It was a nice idea, but I'm not going to do anything. I don't want to change anybody's life. I'm happy the way I am. Things are just perfect. You can do that too. That is your choice. That's why I use Ben Franklin. I'm not telling you what to do by any means. I'm just giving you the opportunity to look at both sides of the coin so that you can make a choice. So, let me share a quick 3 stories with you, and then we're going to wrap it up. Let's talk about grumpy old men here in Pattaya. I'll tell you what, when I got here, I was a little surprised. I'm a walker, so you know I got in my hotel. Derek, my friend Derek over here, Sohara, he helped me get a hotel. I went to the beach every day, and I started my walk. I went by probably 30, 20% Thai and a whole bunch of foreigners walking that beach in the morning. I'm walking, I'm smiling, and they're looking at me like, who in the heck is this guy? I'm smiling at everybody. I don't know any language, so I can't say hello to the Thais. I tried saying hello to a couple of the Farangs that were out there walking, doing their business, but they weren't in the mood to talk. They didn't want to smile. So I spent my first few weeks before I got into my condo wondering what the heck is wrong with the people who walk here. I've never been in a situation where people didn't smile and say hi. So I put a project on myself. And everybody I went by, I finally learned, Swati Cup, Swati Dan Chow Cup. I finally learned a hello, good morning, and English, and I started saying hi to people, and gradually people said hi back. Sometimes it was this. I'd go hello, and they go, mm. But hey, they looked at me and said something, right? It was a movement. And within 4 months, I knew almost everybody that walked every day on that beach, and we all said hello to each other. That is one pebble in a pond of making a day different, because we already know when you give something to somebody and they receive it, there's a benefit in there emotionally. There's a movement inside your body. So both the Thais, now here's what was interesting. The Thais were 91% hello, 50% for the foreigners. Only half ever acknowledged me. And that's okay. Then what happened is I decided to get a beach house in Jomtien, so I live on the beach there, and I do my walk in Jomtien, and I had to start all over again. A whole bunch of strangers that just looked at me like, what the heck is this guy doing on the street, and where did he come from? But every day I did the same walk, and every day I would say hello. And now what happens, I've been doing that one for 5 months, I have lots of friends on that walk. They start talking to me. They share a story. Different group, mostly Farangs with a Thai girlfriend or wife. Different group of people. Took me just the same amount of time to make it work. But I made a difference. My walk is better. And those people across the street will see me and go, hey, hi, Art, because we exchange names. Or they'll wave at me now. Hey, what you doing? You okay? One person, one idea, one act of kindness to say hello infects a lot of people. Infects a lot of people. So that was my first lesson. Now the second one is called The Nerd and the Quarterback. Real quick story. Quarterback won the football game. All the kids are in a car. They're going down the street. Nerd kid's walking home, got all of his books packed full to his head. A couple of hoodlum kids came up, knocked him out, broke his glasses, threw all of his books in a puddle of water and walked away. So the quarterback stops his car, convertible, jumps out, goes over to the kid. You okay? And he goes, oh, they beat me, they hit me. And he said, okay, I'm going to help you out. Told his girlfriend, go ahead and go to the party. I'll show up in a minute, I'm going to help this kid. Didn't know him, didn't know what school he went to, but assumed he may have gone to the same one. So he helps him. He goes home, they put the books out to dry, they kind of fanned him out, opened him up. And then he found out the kid had a train set, and he liked to do with his train. His father has been dead for years, his mother was an alcoholic. So he decided to start being this kid's buddy. The popular kids didn't like this. This was a nerd kid on the wrong side of town hanging with the quarterback. But the quarterback decided this kid was worth some time. So they got to know each other. They became best of friends. They were sophomore year in high school, junior. They double dated. He shared his car with him because the kid couldn't buy his own car. And then with the senior year, a lot of double dates. And his friends gradually accepted this kid, but they weren't near as close to the quarterback as they used to be. He had sacrificed all of those friendships, which really weren't real, by the way, for the benefit of one kid who was beaten up. But the kid was so smart that he got to give the valedictorian speech for the class. When he stands up in front of the class, he says, I would like my friend Peter to stand up. He said, most of you know Peter and I are buddies, but you may not know how we met. The day that he met, a bunch of kids hit me in the back of the head and almost knocked me out and took all of my school books and threw them on the ground. And Peter jumped out of his car at the chagrin of all of his friends to come and help me. And that's how we became best friends. But what he doesn't know is I'd cleaned out my locker that day because on Sunday I was cleaning an old dresser and I found my father's loaded .38 revolver. And I was going home with all of my books to kill myself. One gesture, one act of kindness, one event. Peter had no idea until that moment what he had done. Because sometimes you never know if you save somebody. You never know if your smile takes them from depression to being happier. You never know what that gift that you can give can do. And the last one, pretty simple. It's a girl with a shoebox. This is a friend of mine. A friend of mine whose husband divorced her. She lived very poor, but we had met through one of the classes that I taught. We become friends. Her daughter was 7 years old, and they were really poor, and I'd give them money once in a while, but not all the time. She was humble and never asked. She came home from work one day on Christmas Eve, and there was a shoebox wrapped underneath the Christmas tree with really fancy wrapper. And she went and looked at it, and she went to her closet, and she looked, and her shoes had been taken out of the shoebox. It's open on the floor. And her most favorite wrapper that she'd been saving was wrapped around the shoebox. So she calls her daughter, and she goes, what did you do? You took my shoes out of the floor. You put this famous wrapper, this wrapper I've been saving forever, you put around this box. I am so mad at you. And she picked it up, and she goes, and it feels like it's empty. And she pulled off the wrapper, took off the top, and sure enough, there was nothing in the box. And she slammed it down and sent her girl to bed. A couple bottles of wine later, she decided to go say she was sorry, Christmas Eve. She goes back, her little girl's still up, she's sobbing on the bed. She says, honey, I'm so sorry, I had a bad day at work. Went on and on and on about this, and she said, but why would you give me a box with nothing in it? And she said, Mommy, but it was full. What do you mean it was full? I spent all day after school to blow 1,000 kisses for you in that box. Because we have nothing, I wanted you to always have my kisses. Well, the mother went from not feeling really bad to about feeling really, really, really bad. So she rewrapped the box and put it under the tree. A year later, that daughter died of cancer. To this day, and I just talked to her on Christmas Eve, every Christmas Eve, she opens that box and takes out a kiss. So sometimes the simplest little thing a child can do that you can't even see can impact your life forever. So what takes a bunch of old people like us to come up with a resolution for 2023 that could help one person with a smile, that could do something that could enhance someone's life that doesn't cost us money, maybe a little time. And time is something that we might be running out of. So therefore, that's my food for thought. 3 stories on the value of giving and the impact on people's lives. Now, there's always quotes about everything. You can read them. Service to other, together is the life is what the charge is to live. Today, you could be talking to somebody and not realize you could save their life just by saying hello. The power of the human being is so strong, so powerful. And the one on serotonin we already talked about. Now, privacy, I'm going to ask you to think about your own resolution. It has nothing to do with me, if you decide to do one. I want you to think about the things that we've talked about, the value of your time, the value of time of others, what happens when you give a gift of nothing. It still has value. How difficult it is to create a smile, but if you're persistent, you can get one. Because I get them on the beach every day now. People know me as a happy guy. But I'm always saying hi. I have no reason not to. I'm having a blessed day. I'm in Thailand. I'm in a beach city. I can live here for a fraction of the cost it cost me to live in Los Angeles. My God, it doesn't, and there's pretty girls everywhere. It doesn't get much better than this. I have nothing to complain about. So what if a line is long? So what if I don't understand? I learn. I can't get angry. Anger is not something I like to have. I could choose to, but I don't have to. So I challenge you, each one of you, about 100, to do something for a resolution for 2023. 2022, you didn't even say it was a good year. But 2023, like Maria Robbins says, you could start and create a new ending. You can change a life. What I'm personally doing, I have 5 resolutions, but the first one I've already started is I am teaching English starting next Saturday to 5 of my neighbors. I live in a Thai neighborhood pretty much. I don't understand them. They don't understand me, so we are going to share language. I have a flip chart. I made a small investment, a little bit of my time, about an hour and a half with 5 people. And by the end of the year, my goal is to be able to speak more fluent Thai, and their goal is to be able to speak more fluent English. It's a win-win for everyone. What's that cost me? Nothing but time. Time. And time slips away. I'm making sure I do something for somebody for 2023, and there's a few others. That's my challenge to you, to do something for somebody. Sorry, also lots of quotes on time. There's tons of them. Sometimes later becomes never. Do it now. Enjoy time while you're on this side of the dirt. Life is short, time is fast. Don't let people make you feel guilty about how you spend your time. But then there's Ben Franklin, so you can look at the other side and you can just say, I'm just what the effing myself through life these days. And you could live that way as well. Your choice. Totally your choice. So remember, Maria Robinson said what? Nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and create a new ending. Final story is, even if you whisper to yourself, someone might hear. And if it does, it could impact your life forever. Who was the first man to walk on the moon? First man to walk on the moon. Neil Armstrong. Well, he may not be in your country, but there was in ours. We had a guy walk on the moon named Neil Armstrong. So, Neil Armstrong, now what did he say? Does anybody remember his famous line, this is one small step for man and one giant? Oh, start it. Do it. Well, it's the quote that you read everywhere has the A out, so I guess we have to go to the moon to read the real one, right? Well, here's another thing that happened, though, and this is what's really important, is that when Neil Armstrong stepped off the lunar surface and put his foot, and you can Google this, by the way, not now, because you can't have your phones on. He stepped up on the lunar lander, he took his foot off the moon, his last foot, and what he whispered to himself, hot mic, no switches back then, he said, good luck, Mr. Gordsky. That's all he said. Good luck, Mr. Gordsky. Well, the people in Mission Control That sounds a little Russian to me, don't you think? Who in the hell is he talking about? So they started doing research. How did he know Mr. Gorski? What did he know about Mr. Gorski? What was the story about Mr. Gorski? Who is this man? Where is he? And they looked and looked because it took 3 days before they could really see him face to face and ask him any questions. And then they asked him when they had the time, and he said, I cannot tell you who Mr. Gorski is. And he continued to defend that name. As time wore on, people asked the question less. They didn't see any bleeps in his record. He wasn't quite the recognized for parades and stuff that other ones. He may not have gotten the best assignments all the time because there was always this little glitch in the mind of a lot of people about Mr. Gorski. Well, in the process of him being asked many times, no one could answer the question, but finally somebody asked, and he said, I have great news. I can tell you who Mr. Gorski was because he finally passed. His wife's been dead for a few years. No CNN, no Fox News, none of the big networks, because they'd all given up on that question. Just some young kid in a small town where he was giving a speech. Got the question right. So he said, let me tell you who Mr. Gorski was. Mr. Gorski was my neighbor. I lived in a cul-de-sac. Big circle. All the kids lived on one side. The other kids all lived on the other side. In the very end of the cul-de-sac, Mr. and Mrs. Gorski lived. No kids, and they hated them. We would play stickball in the middle of the street or football, and it would land in their yard, and they would come out and scream at us, yell at us. They hated kids. And one day, we're playing stickball, and I hit the ball, and it foul-tipped, hit the roof, and went in Mr. Gorski's backyard. The kids looked at me and said, go get it. So he did. He went into his yard, which was side, and he climbed over the fence, and he went to get the ball. As he did, he finally saw it under a window as dusk was setting. So he takes his hand, he slides it into the bush to put it on the ball, and just before he gets to, a light comes on, and it shines onto the ball and onto the bush. And he's pretty sure he can't be seen, but he freezes, and Mr. and Mrs. Gorski are having a fight about sex. And finally, she says, sex, sex, that's all you want is sex? Well, you can have sex again when that little boy next door walks on the moon. Good luck, Mr. Gorski. So sometimes the words that you whisper create power. You are responsible for who you are and what you say. You have the chance to start a new beginning. You have a chance this year, if you choose, to create a resolution intact with guidelines to impact yourself and somebody else here in Thailand. A positive step, something that's a gift of smiles. My smiles are a gift. I give them away for free. I know when someone gets a smile how they feel. Whether they smile back or not is insignificant to me. They haven't hit me yet. People say you can't smile at Thais. Oh, yes, you can. I do it every day. Can't smile at grumpy old expats. I do it every day. Do I always get a response? Absolutely not. But I know that something inside their system, their body, their brain changed briefly. And if I can do that with every human being on the face of the earth, how much power would I have as a human? If everybody smiled, everybody said hello, if everybody was kind, if everybody gave knowledge, skill sets away as we got older rather than humped up sitting in a bar drinking beer all day doing nothing. If we were to value who we are rather than where we were. We have power. We are aged. We are fine. We are smart. We are gifted. We have everything that we need to bring peace and harmony to people in our life, and more importantly, to bring kindness to those people around us. So like I say, everything that you say and do today will determine what all of your tomorrows look like and become. Thank you very much for your time today.
While people are just deciding if they're going to ask a question, I wanted to make an observation about smiling and stuff with people you pass. Firstly, one of the biggest signs of longevity and health into old age is the willingness to connect to other people, right? If you're reclusive, you're much more likely to die for any number of reasons, but also because your heart's not open. I go there and I smile at people, and some of these people are like, but do you know what I do when I pass them? I smile even more because I'm so glad I'm not them.
Well, first of all, you come from LA. We all smile at each other all the time. So that's LA, baby. What I wanted to comment on was, it feels to me all of my life I have been at a party and there's been wonderful people at the party and everything seems optimistic to me. Now, I don't think I'm special. I don't think I tried to do that. It feels to me that that's the way my brain chemistry simply works, is to be an optimist. It gets me in trouble sometimes. By the way, Big Ron is just like me. He's the same. He's always positive, right? Always getting into trouble and always thinking positive. So here's my question. Yeah. Here's my question. How much of what you're saying is inside us just in a natural brain chemistry kind of apparatus? It's just who we are. And how much then is change, real change of a human being possible?
It takes work to change. Change is not easy. I'm blessed that I was born as a poor kid with no father, with holes in my shoes. And my grandfather told me when I was a very young boy, you are not in bad shape. There are people that are worse than you. Ben Franklin. And lo and behold, I could see kids that had less, so I would try to give to them. I had holes in my shoes. I learned how to take cardboard and cover them. I mean, it's a humble beginning. But I always had a positive attitude. I don't know where I got it. I just had it. It was in my mindset, just like you said. I was wired differently. Derek's known me for 20 years. Ever seen me in a bad mood, Derek? Never. Don't have it. Don't know what it is. Don't want it. Not part of who I am. Yes, there are waves in life. You go up and down. And yes, you learn how to handle them differently. But anger and resentment should not be one of them, because those will break your heart and kill you through your heart. Those infest inside. So yes, you can change. It takes work. Change is difficult. First of all, you have to realize what you need to change. Then you have to realize who's going to change. Is it you or someone else? Then you got to know what you're going to do to change. And then you got to become the change agent to make it happen. And you've got to go through those steps to make it work. And if you go, oh, I need to change, oh, it's too much work, I'm not going to do it. That's what people do all the time. Change is possible on anything. Yes.
Yeah, great talk. Thank you. Yeah. I just turned 81 years old, and my birthday party, the people at the party said, Big Ron, what's the word of wisdom do you have for us? And I said, well, I have 3. I said, number 1, don't loan money to anybody. Okay. Number 2, if you think you're old, you are. Number 3 is if you're unhappy, it's your choice.
Very good. Thank you very much. Perfect. I could have had him come up and give that part. Very good. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your insightful presentation, especially about the daily seconds we have in our bank account. That made an impression on me. I'm interested in your spiritual background and even today, what your relationship is like with our Heavenly Father and Christ.
Great question. Thank you. I don't get into religion too often, so I'll just give you kind of a parallel. I was raised in an Indiana farm town where church was mandatory on Sunday. You had to have the little pins. So I went 13 years, perfect attendance. Doesn't mean I got everything I should have gotten. I was known for pulling ponytails, telling jokes, crawling underneath the bleachers, and causing havoc. But the guy upstairs always liked me. He always favored me no matter what happened. I believe that there is a power that is much greater than I am, and it controls my entire being, and all I have to do is be good. I just have to be honest. I just have to be fair with people. I can't look at people with any bitterness at all. I don't care whether they're tall, short, ugly, black, pink, purple. Doesn't make any difference to me. I like everyone. Everyone should have a chance to breathe air just like I did. My grandfather also told me that never forget, everybody has to eat. Never know a stranger. If someone needs food, give it to them. Everybody has to eat. So that kind of answers the question, I hope. I'm very spiritual. I have a great day every day. Guy upstairs takes good care of me. I'm happy with that. Hopefully he's taking good care of all of you too. Yes?
Thank you for your very hearty and big talk. I found very happy in myself, and what I try to do is to walk every day. I walk 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a week, but it's not enough, and I'm the same age as you, 73, and I think it would be good for me, and not start next year. I will start tomorrow. Thank you.
Good, good. Yeah, it's a habit of mine. I can't break it. It's one of those I created a long time ago. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you so much for your time today. You have all been pleasant. Thank you for the questions as well. Thank you. I'm not going to be great.
Huge round of applause.
Ren, can I just interrupt you? One thing, Art, is when you want to do something here, very often the administration puts so many obstacles in your way that you can't. I was connected with a group that was teaching English, and the Nyampur at that time, that's the governor of the province, was only too keen to have people, and he arranged it that we would be protected and not prosecuted by the police for working, and we each were issued with a particular badge, an ID card that recognised us. We taught people that came from the naval base at Satahip. We taught monks, and we had a great time, actually. I think one of the most memorable moments was when my wife and I and another member of the party took a parcel of monks round one of the big stores, especially in the grocery department, and we were swapping English names for Thai names for various things that were there. But the funniest thing I have to tell you was the entrance to this particular store, the shop at the entrance was a lingerie store. And the monks just stood there, absolutely gobsmacked, looking at all these models dressed in bras and panties. We had to sort of, come on, not for you.
Oh, that which reminds me, of course, Big Ron and I, we went up country and we taught in an English camp last year. It was this year. Sorry, it was great fun, wasn't it, Big Ron? The English camp, the English-speaking camp. That's how enthusiastic he was about it. All right, we might give a talk about that one day. Meanwhile, huge round of applause for Art, who gave just such a wonderfully enthusiastic, well thought out talk. Come here, we've got to take this is a small token of our appreciation. And I know I've found a friend in Art because apart from anything else, he said, look, if you ever lose a speaker, I can give a talk on something at short notice, and that's a gift for me. So thank you for that gift.